Welcome to TriTech University. My name is Bill Steppen, and today we're going to go ahead and take a look at AIM's functionality regarding delivery tickets. There's a lot of different areas in the system that kind of talk about deliveries, and so I want to make sure everyone is good and clear about what one type of delivery area is in AIM versus another one. As always, over to the right, whichever way right is, I keep forgetting which way it is. I think it's this way, is the chat tab. So feel free to click on that tab. There's usually a tab for the upcoming schedule, the playlist, and then the chat tab. So go ahead and click on that chat tab. Then down at the bottom, you'll see a little button labeled nickname. Be sure to click that and then go ahead and input your name. And that way you can chat, you can say hi, you can ask questions. I see Chris is already saying hello and that he's looking forward to this. So that is awesome. Happy to hear that. Hopefully you'll either have some questions or I'll get all of your questions answered for you, Chris. So that is basically how you're going to communicate with me. And just like always, let's go ahead and switch over to my demo system here, my TriTech University copy of AIM. So first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to define delivery tickets versus delayed deliveries. A delayed delivery is a specific kind of transaction that is available within point of sale in addition to the normal point of sale like regular sales invoice modes and approval modes and loaner modes and layaway modes. Delayed delivery is its own kind of transaction. The whole idea of delayed deliveries, I've explained this in other broadcasts, is that it allows you to take full payment for something as of today, but the customer does not actually acquire the product until some point in the future. It might be, for example, if you're a music store, it might be that they are purchasing a large instrument like a piano or a contrabassoon, or let's say, for example, you're a firearms store. They come in and they put down full payment. They fully purchase that pistol, but they are required by local law or whatever to wait a certain amount of days, maybe like 7 or 10 days, before they can actually come in and pick it up. Or you're an appliance store and you've got a contractor that's purchasing several large appliances and they need those delivered, or they're going to come pick it up closer to the date of install. That's the whole idea of a delayed delivery. It's simply another kind of transaction. Now, that being said, within AIM, every type of transaction can be paired with what's known as a delivery ticket or delivery information. So, case in point, let me go ahead and do this. Let me, instead of just kind of selling anything to plain old cash customer account, let's go ahead and pull up my good old guinea pig Mike Anderson here, who's got several transactions deep now at this point. Let's go ahead and pretend he's just purchasing some stuff. So just to cut right to the chase, we'll go ahead and sell some valve oil, just like usual. And then I'm going to go ahead and let's say I'm going to actually deliver this to him at some point in the future. We don't necessarily need to put this in as a delayed delivery. We want to record it as basically sold right away. So we're going to leave it as just normal point of sale. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at delivery info. You'll notice when I click this delivery info button here in the functions menu of the point of sale environment, it's going to bring up this window here for delivery information, a delivery ticket. From here, we could specify a delivery date. So whatever that date might be, let's say we're going to deliver to him at some point this Friday. So we can say potentially around that time. And then this is already linked to his name and address. If I need to, I can click in this customer button to override this with customer information, or specifically to a shipping address that might be linked to his account. Or if it's going to be delivered to another address altogether, I can either type it in from scratch, or I could use this find button to go out and find an alternative customer account. Say, for example, if let's go back to the school example or the music store example. A school district is purchasing the product, but it needed to be delivered to a particular school. So just kind of something along those lines. And again, this doesn't have to be the delayed delivery or a sales invoice. This could be a layaway. This could be a loaner. This could be anything. A delivery ticket is just a way to be able to track the delivery of product from one place to another, typically from your store to a customer. So we're going to leave this as is. We can see that we can also pull in student and district and school information if necessary. Again, if you are primarily a music store and you have that information to select from. Now you can also put in a delivery employee who is actually going to be the employee responsible for making the delivery. And then you can specify a time frame, because of course 1:04 in the afternoon, I mean, they're not going to need to be right there on the button at 1:04 on Friday. We're going to say it might be from any time between 1 and 4 in the afternoon. Now, I'll get to what this time frame comes to in just a little bit. And then they might need an hour or so for the delivery. In my case, we're just dropping off some valve oil. They need like 15 minutes. So let's just put in 0.25. That is 1/4 of an hour. This is in hour increments. So technically it's base 100. So 0.5 would be half an hour. Over here, we can put in any notes that we want to have on the delivery ticket. And maybe you're not sure when that delivery is available to be delivered. So you can click this View Schedule button, and this will bring up any and all delivery tickets that you have put into the system, and you can sort this by delivery date, by location, and by delivery employee. You can see that it's already selected the salesperson delivery employee because that's who I had put in over here. And in essence, it's showing me the deliveries that he has for this Friday. Now, of course, there aren't any. So if there were, I would see the reference number of the transaction that it was associated with, that customer's name, and then the delivery city, the date, delivery employee, the time required, and so forth. So this gives me an opportunity to kind of gauge whether or not a delivery could be made on this day. You can see down here at the bottom, it's going to give me kind of a summary of the time frames and how many deliveries are essentially within those selected time frames. And again, I'm going to talk about the time frame in just a little bit here. So then ultimately it gives you the grand total time based on everything that's keyed in. Let's just go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to put in a note here. This is a delivery note, just to get that in there. And let's go ahead and save that. And you'll see really nothing happens with the transaction, but it now has a delivery ticket affiliated with it. At this point, I'm going to go ahead, tender this out. Let's just say he gave me $5 cash, so we'll finalize that. We'll get them their receipt. And I'm going to go ahead and print this to the screen. So first of all, it's going to print the sales invoice, basically the sales receipt, just like normal. Let's go ahead, bring this up over here. So just like you can see, it's got the basic stuff. It's an invoice. It's valve oil. It was paid for by cash. Now, what it's also done is it's printed a delivery ticket. So you can see it's going to be delivered to Mike Anderson at 5555 Park Avenue. The employee that is going to be recording this, or the default is the employee ID, basically that did the recording. But this is just essentially the delivery ticket. So now, this, when you print this out, this could be put into essentially like your own essential paper trail of deliveries to be done on that day and time. But basically, having to print this out is not necessarily a necessity at this time. But it's basically now on the books that a delivery is scheduled to be done on that day. So that's kind of the idea with that. Now, as far as where those live in the meantime, actually before I even get to that, I do want to talk about that whole concept of the time frames. You can establish your own time frames of whatever would be most applicable for your business model. That will be found in maintenance, in general, and in system variables. And if we just drill down a search to time frame or time F, we can see it brings me right to this variable delivery ticket time frames. And basically the description, it's going to be a little small on the screen, I think, but it says to enter time frame options to be used in the delivery ticket program for scheduling. You can have multiple options, just separate them by the ever ubiquitous pipe key. That is the straight up and down key on your keyboard. It's usually the shift / key. And you can see I just put in 9 to 12 and 1 to 4. You can have as many options as you want. They could be whatever descriptions you want. You can see it gives some examples of AM, PM, 9 to 12, 1 to 4. Whatever you want to have, you can put in there. I see Chris is asking, is there a way to show the delivery employees' existing schedule that are not existing deliveries? Let me think about that there, Chris. So is there a way to show the delivery employees' existing schedule that are... Well, if they're not existing deliveries, there's no schedule. Maybe you can elaborate on what you mean exactly by that question there, Chris. But while you do that, I'm going to go back to what I'm talking about here. So if you need to establish your timeframes, this is where you can do it. Offhand, I'm not sure if there are any other delivery-specific... there's delivery ticket prices. So if you do want the prices to show on the delivery tickets, you can set this as well. So just if you were wondering about that. But other than that, it's basically it. There is also this delivery ticket program will display the date only if this is checkmarked as enabled. Otherwise, just like you saw, it showed the date and the time. So if you don't want it to show the time, you can checkmark this system variable as well. And then the delay or the delivery ticket available hours, if there are only certain times of the day that you want to have the basically the delivery available, you can set this up. You can see this can be a pretty elaborate variable here. You can see it says we are going to enter the available daily delivery hours for the delivery ticket program. The first character is the location code. So for example, if you're wondering about location codes, you can find those in your general maintenance and locations. So you can see here I've got a location code of 1 for Dubuque and 2 for Iowa City. That's what we mean by location codes. So then you have the available hours for each day of the week from Sunday through Saturday. So for example, this one here, let me just kind of copy and paste this up so it's a little bit easier to see. This is location code 1. I don't make any deliveries on Sunday, and then I make 8 hours of deliveries Monday through Friday and 4 hours of deliveries on Saturday. So basically, you can just do that with that type of setup. And if you do have more than one location, as you can see here, you just separate those locations and hours with pipes. So that's basically about just the amount of variables. There aren't too many of them. The main one that I wanted to make sure people were aware of was the delivery ticket time frames. The other things there are just ways of extra customizing that function. Chris is getting back to me. If an employee has a set schedule to various locations, do they have to be input into AIM as deliveries to show on the delivery schedule? In essence, Chris, I think the question is there a way to maybe see their actual working schedule versus their delivery schedule? If that's the case, AIM really doesn't have a spot where you can input the hours of the day that they're slated to be worked. So that would need to be done essentially outside of AIM. But everything that we saw there was just pertinent to any delivery tickets that are already in the system. Now, as far as seeing those deliveries, those existing deliveries, there is a menu right within the customer module for delivery tickets. If you need to go back and add a delivery ticket to a prior transaction, the add change delivery ticket as your program. This is also where you can go back and review or make adjustments to any delivery tickets. And if you just need to view them entirely, the view delivery tickets is where you're going to go. Let's kind of come in here and let's pull up Mike again. So here we can see, here's that delivery ticket that I had just keyed in. It's attached to reference number 1221. That's the sales invoice that I did. We can see over here, it's going to be delivered to the Mike Anderson address here. It's scheduled for this Friday, again at 1:04 p.m., but you can turn that date off if that's helpful. The delivery employee is tied to is the quote-unquote salesperson that I have, and it looks like I did not actually make that selection of that time frame, so let's go ahead and update that. But then if there's any other details that you need to adjust, you can simply come in here and make those changes. And again, if you need to view the schedule, you can see there's the schedule there. So again, this is basically tied to that employee for that day and time. So yeah, I think getting back to Chris's question, again, if you're needed to cross-reference this with just what hours of the day and what days of the week are they actually there to make deliveries, I think you're going to need to do that outside of AIM for the time being. I'm not sure if we have any plans to add like an actual employee schedule into the system. But this is just an easy way to say, okay, yes, this person is or is not already slated to do any deliveries for that day. So that's a way to kind of go in and make those adjustments in that respect. Josh is saying we have reps that have set schedules when they go to a school. So I think that kind of coincides with what Chris was saying. So yeah, there's really not going to be a way to key in like an employee's schedule into the system. It's just going to be needing to know what that schedule is. Julie is asking, does this tie into the delivery date per school in the maintenance add change schools area? Not really, Julie. That is actually an interesting idea. For those of you who are not certain what she's referencing, in the contract area of maintenance is the add change schools function. And with every school you've got set up in the system, you can see I don't have any in my test copy here, but you do have the ability to go in and establish details such as what's the first delivery date you're planning on going, and then it just kind of goes from there as far as the time of day that the deliveries typically take place, how much time between a customer's order and the next delivery is set to be there. So say, for example, if this is 24 hours, I believe this is in hours, then if the delivery day is every Friday, such as you can kind of see here, and they place the order on between Thursday and Friday, then this is all, by the way, I should specify, this is specific to your ActiveE website. So this is kind of specifically to that and kind of in relation to contracts where a customer is requesting a rental be done, and then this can give them an idea of when their instrument would show up at the school. So if it falls within that threshold, then it essentially pushes their delivery out to the next available window as opposed to the closest available window. It's just kind of something along those lines. But getting back to Julie's question, no, this does not tie into that. This is kind of separate to that. But that does pose an interesting question as to see if that's something that could be tied into this. So I believe what I would almost recommend, Julie, is to give our support team a call and just mention that you were in on this live stream and you were wondering if this is something where the two parts of the system could talk to each other. And I'm sure they can pass that along to development. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense there. Andre says, in the maintenance contracts at Change Schools, there's a setting for delivery time. Is this tied into delivery dates? Actually, Julie was just asking that, so I think you're both on the same page there. And hi, Kara. How you doing? Chris, is this tied to the customer account for the school? Is this tied to the customer account for the school? I'm not sure what you mean by customer account there, Chris. If you could elaborate on that as well, that would be wonderful. So before I forget, we got some great customer feedback here going on. I want to build on that. Before I do forget, I want to talk about let's say if you don't print those tickets out and have them essentially on a wall waiting to kind of be, seeing what needs to be delivered for the given day, that is the function of that other part of the delivery ticket menu, the View Delivery Tickets. So when you come into the View Delivery Tickets program, you might just have this at any given day of the week. So if you want to see what deliveries are being done today, in my example, I might usually say, okay, let's see what deliveries need to be done for the upcoming day and make sure that those get printed. But just to kind of give us an example of what this could look like, let's go ahead and fast forward to Friday. So you can see there is the delivery that we have slated. So on 10/29, customer Mike Anderson has a delivery. This is all the details there. And then we can go ahead and print that. So then we can sort by any of these particular criteria. Let's just go ahead and select that. And I'm just going to print this to the screen just so you can kind of see what this looks like. So it's not the delivery tickets themselves, but it's essentially an itinerary of the delivery tickets for the given day. And if you need to print an individual delivery ticket, you can do so by right-clicking on it and choosing the Print Delivery Ticket option. So then you can see there is a little checkbox over here to indicate when they are delivered. You can right-click and essentially mark it as delivered, excuse me. So when the employee says, yes, we did get this delivered, you can come in here, right-click, and essentially flag it as delivered. So you can see there are other options to mark all undelivered as delivered or just unmark it as delivered. So you can go back and forth on this. This is really just for your own internal reference as to, yes, did we get confirmation that these products were dropped off to this customer. So this is basically where you can go in and denote all of that. And if you need to, you can use this button to come in and edit the delivery schedule. If we go ahead and go to the next, that Friday there, so then we'll go ahead and bring that up. And let's see here. Get that to the salesperson. Not sure why that's not showing up there. Probably because I flagged it as delivered, so it's not going to show up. But that'd be where you could go in and make adjustments on the fly if necessary, especially if you see that maybe a salesperson didn't check the existing schedule and potentially overbooked or double booked a salesperson or a delivery person within a too close of a window. You can go in and make adjustments here if necessary. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. That's basically the whole idea of the delivery part of the system. Now, there is one other thing I did want to mention because the delivery tickets are great for just kind of seeing all of the different options. And like I said, you can tag a delivery ticket to any kind of transaction. But in something that's kind of extra to the contract functions, especially for those of you who are making deliveries to schools and maybe you've got a whole staging area of products that are ready to go or needing to be going out to these various schools, is in addition to printing out the delivery ticket and then grouping the products with that delivery ticket, AIM does have a function with the barcode part of the system where you can print delivery tags. The delivery tags are something that AIM can generate for you on your behalf based on the contract date range and school and location and things like that. And in essence, it will print a little label, just with your normal barcode label printer, that you can attach to the cases and the product boxes and whatnot that essentially say these items are affiliated with this school and this customer and this student. So over and above the delivery ticket, the delivery tags are typically there so that when your delivery people arrive to the school and are dropping off all of the instruments for the rental, this is something that the actual students can use to find their products and make sure that they got their actual horn or instrument or whatever it is that they're renting. So I figured I'd mention that as well. Doesn't really have a connection to the delivery ticket process per se, but it is a handy little thing that can be useful if you're doing a lot of contract deliveries. So let's check in on the questions that are coming in. Julie is saying it would be great if the delivery tickets could tie into that. So definitely go ahead and give our support team a call and make that suggestion. You're asking also, Julie, is there a report that you could run per salesperson that will show the deliveries for a set date or date range? That's essentially what I was just kind of showing back over here. Basically just the view delivery tickets. You can specify the range and the employee and details like that. So when you click this print button down here, it honors all of these selection criteria, these filter criteria up at the top. So you could then see all of the deliveries for that salesperson for that date range. This is basically your go-to area for that, Julie. Hopefully that helps. Chris, we have schools listed as customer accounts to sell directly to the schools. Is there a way to link the maintenance contracts add change schools to a customer account? There is not. I think I understand what you're asking. So basically back here, in addition to tracking the schools themselves as basically the school for the purposes of attaching it to the contract, you have them set up as customers as well, which certainly makes sense, but there's really not a way to tag this to a customer account. No, I'm afraid not, Chris. Sorry about that. Josh, does this delivery ticket work with rent-to-own contracts too? Yes, actually. I think I just described that. You can basically attach it to any kind of transaction. So sales invoices, customer contracts, layaways, loaners, delayed deliveries, approvals, even short-term rentals if you're going to be doing that, or service tickets. In essence, any kind of transaction these delivery tickets can be linked to. Thank you so much, Josh. Jess asks, can you further explain the barcode labels? So the barcode labels, kind of like I was saying, they're specific to the contract function of the program. They're not really customizable per se. They're just kind of a hard-coded part of the AIM contract system. But when you go to print those labels, it will look for any contracts that exist within that date range. And like I said, they'll just basically print some initial details of the item on the contract, and then who the student is and what school they're attending, details that you get off of the contract itself, so that when first of all, you know which items need to go to which schools, kind of staging the items to go out, and then when they do actually get to the school, the students have an easier time finding their own products. Jess asks, is the delivery person able to scan them or the customer? And if so, how and what does it bring up? I don't believe there's actually a barcode on them per se. It's just information that can be easily slapped on the case and then later on removed when that rental is returned or whatever the case might be with that. Marcia asks, can you set up the delivery tag to a specific label size? And if yes, where would that be found? if I remember correctly, it's just going to go off of whatever your primary label printer is in your settings. So let me just kind of hop back to this general maintenance area here, and you can see I'm already there. So if you weren't following along before, it's the maintenance and general menu. Your label printers are set up specifically in your workstation settings. And when you're in your workstation settings, you'll find the labels set up specifically on the miscellaneous tab and then miscellaneous 2. So you would set up your barcode printer here. You would basically choose the printer driver of your barcode of your printer and then what label style is loaded into that. And if you're not familiar with the whole idea of the label styles, that essentially determines the size of the labels. That's all set up in your inventory maintenance area. So set up barcode labels itself. This is where the dimensions of the labels are established, and then when you're printing normal barcode labels out of them, what are the details that print on those labels. But like I said, the delivery tags themselves are specifically kind of hard coded, so there's not really a whole lot of customization that's done with those. It's just going to go off of essentially whatever label printers you've got set up there. Jess asks if there's a way for me to print a label for us to see. I actually don't have a label printer here to test that with, so I'm afraid I don't have that. Plus, I'm a little short on the time window here, so I'm afraid I don't have that capability just at this moment, Jess, but I do apologize on that. Andre says, like the scan feature in receive store-to-store transfers, can we scan the delivery reference barcode to flag multiple rentals as delivered? Back in that delivery view area, there's really nothing to scan per se. It's just kind of finding them on that list. Let me actually hop back over to that so we can have that on screen in front of us here. So back to the delivery ticket menu and view delivery tickets. There's really nothing to scan per se. You could technically scan up here in the reference field. So when you do scan that reference number of the ticket, that would then hone in specific to that. So in this case, this reference number here, that won't automatically flag it as delivered, but it would drill down specific to that particular reference, which you can then right click and mark it as delivered in that way. So yeah, I think I caught up on all the questions. So yeah, obviously a lot of interest in the delivery tracking functions of AIM, and we can only expand on those. So I think there were a lot of great questions here. Julie in particular was wondering if there's a way to tie the delivery schedule of the schools to the delivery ticket routine. I think that would be great. I would definitely recommend giving support a call. There was also the inquiries regarding a way to see the actual salespeople's schedules of work hours. Right now, there's not a way to really go in and establish time frames or slated work hours of any given employee. So definitely, if there's an interest for that, give our support team a call and let them know, hey, I want to be able to input my employees' work hours so that I can see if they would actually be available to do a delivery on a given scheduled delivery date. So yeah, I think those would be great things that we could build into the system and just make it that much more betterer for you all. So yeah, this kind of does wrap up today's session as well as the live stream broadcasts for the month of, what month are we in? October. If you click back over to the right, to the playlist, you can see I do have an itinerary of playlists or of scheduled live stream broadcast days, but right now the topics of them are all to be determined. So you've still got a little bit of a window, I believe, up at the top right to click into the poll and submit ideas for both the month of November and the month of December. I just kind of figured I'd get that all set in stone as far as what those days would be that I'm planning on doing live streams on. Normally I do the second and fourth Tuesdays and the third Thursday. I did kind of mix that up a little bit for the month of December just because that is a holiday month, and I imagine that since that fourth Tuesday falls in between Christmas and New Year's, I imagine there probably won't be too many people looking to attend a live stream that week. So, yeah, I've got that all set up over there. So I'll be getting at least the month of November's topics finalized by the end of this week. So get those ideas submitted up on the poll. And if there's any other feedback you'd like to give me as to how we're doing, do you like what you're seeing? Do you wish some things could be different? Let me know. Shoot me an email at training@tritechretail.com. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to find out if there's anything we can do to make these broadcasts better for you. And yeah, we can only grow from here. So thank you, everyone, for all of your great back and forth and the real-time chat. It makes my job a lot more interesting rather than just talking to the screen. So let's stay in touch. We'll see you next month. And if there's anything we can do in the meantime, give our support and sales teams a call. We'd be more than happy to help you out, and we'd love to hear from you. Take care, and I hope you can all make it a great day.